Okay, good morning, everyone in Facebook Live and here in the audience. Today is the 18th of July, 2021, and it's 9:34 a.m. in Peru, Ecuador, and Colombia. In Costa Rica, what time is it, Adriana?
It's 8:30, 1 hour.
Okay, it's 1 hour earlier. And in Canada?
7:30 a.m.
Okay, 2 hours earlier.
morning.
So she's having breakfast. So thank you so
Yeah.
much, dear Gracia Trentini, for giving us part of your time. Okay, let me share my screen to talk about today's session. Okay, just a minute. It takes a few seconds. It's taking, okay.
I can see it.
Yeah, everyone, can everyone see it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, International English Online Meetings. Somebody to read this quote, please, and express his or her opinion. Anyone?
Okay, I'll read it. We were all
Thanks.
humans until, sorry, I'll say it again. We were all humans until race disconnected us, religion separated us, politics divided us, and wealth classified us.
Any comment, dear Gracia? Agree,
yeah,
disagree?
I totally agree with this sentence. I completely agree, and it's basically, yeah, the message of my own presentation as well. So it couldn't
Great.
be more adequate to the
Thank
situation.
you. Okay, Raj.
It's not our differences that divide us. It's our inability to recognize, accept, and celebrate those differences. I so agree. Differences are not problems to be solved. They're gifts to be explored.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah.
Differences are to be explored. Thank you.
Yes, yeah.
Gloria, please.
Treat people the way you want to be treated. Talk to people the way you want to be talked to. Respect is earned, no given.
So let's earn respect, right? Adriana, please.
I can respect any person who can put their ego aside and say, I made a mistake. I apologize and I'm correcting the behavior. I think that's totally true, and only humble people can do that. If they're humble, they can do it.
Yeah,
Yes.
so let's work on that, right? Well, if you want to watch the meetings, you can find them in this YouTube channel. And who is presenting next semester? Well, Dixie Santana from Mexico on August the 15th. Ulises Cordova from Colombia on August 29th. And also Ilka Guzman from Ecuador on September the 12th. Tania Cajamarca from Ecuador. Cajamarca is a last name in Ecuador, but here in Peru, it's the name of one of the most important cities, Inca City here in Peru. And finally, on October the 3rd, we will have the 5th roundtable with coordinators and directors of the English language programs in different universities. It will be very beautiful as usual. Well, we will stop international English online meetings for about a month. I need to rest, to relax.
Oh, sure.
In peace. And today we have Gracia Trentini. Let me say a few words about you, Gracia.
Yes,
Originally from Italy, for the first part of her professional life, she was a certified arborist and worked on different types of projects related to environmental protection and to the health and safety of parks and urban trees. Gracia then decided to pursue another great passion of hers, which is cross-culture and cross-language communication. She then enrolled at the University of Bologna, Advanced School of Modern Languages for Interpreters and Translators, Italy, where she got her bachelor degree in cross-language applied communication. While attending SSLMIT, she was awarded a scholarship and participated in an international student exchange that allowed her to spend a full academic year at the University of Massachusetts in the USA, where the opportunity to collaborate with the University Translation had center and became a certified translator and interpreter. The languages she works with are English, Spanish, and of course, Italian. She later received her master's degree in international liaison and communication from the University of Westminster, London, UK. In London, she developed a deeper interest in cultural studies and intercultural communication. When she moved to Ecuador in 2012, she became an English instructor, and since then she has helped her students improve their language and communication skills. So as you can see, we have a very professional and very studious and responsible person. Thank you so much, dear Gracia Trentini, for giving us part of your—
Thank you. Well, I hope, well, now I hope, yeah, you'll be satisfied with what I have to present today. Okay, so since Jaime told me that these, you know, how can we call these meetings are basically more pragmatic than theoretical, well, I decided to use this topic, which is a topic that I actually teach. So what I'm going to show you is one of my lessons, basically, right?
Wonderful.
And well, I play with these materials. Of course, sometimes I can use more of them, sometimes I can use less of them. And let me tell you that these are materials that are suitable for students who are B1, B2, yeah, and at least, and you can teach these type of lessons. You can teach secondary school students between 15 and 17 years of age, or university students like I do, of course, with adjustments. So let me share my presentation. Can I share my presentation?
Yes, go on, dear Gracia.
Okay, let me do it. Okay. I have a PowerPoint, which is, you know, giving me a bit of support. So yeah, this is the title of my presentation today, Developing Critical Cultural Awareness. We'll talk about DNA, heritage, racism and xenophobia as well. So this is my outline. I know you probably, well, I don't know how much of the theory you know, I'm sorry. So I'll do a little introduction. I promise it's going to be short, but it will give us some foundation, right? Because everything I'm going to be telling today has a reason. And then, yeah, I'll show you my, my materials. As I said, we'll begin. All of these practices are connected. The first one is called How Does DNA Work? Teach Your Grandma. Practice 2, it is about the Momondo DNA journey video campaign. And then we have another video from Momondo DNA journey featuring Carlos. We have a third one featuring Ellaha. I'll tell you who these people are. And then we'll draw some conclusions. Okay,
all right.
So the beginning of the discussion is always this one here. So what is culture, right? So let me stop sharing just for a second. Wait a second. So I can see you guys. So can you please tell me, what is your idea of culture? Can you give me, you know, you can write them in the chat box or tell me, since we are a very small group. So you
yeah, I was in this conference where the speaker said that there were more than 100 meanings and definitions of culture. So I just, in the past, I thought that it was only the way people behave, culture and music. I thought that was all, but it's not, right?
Music. No, it's one, possibly it is the most complex concept in social sciences, because it includes all of many disciplines, basically. It's not just, you know, so can you give me just ideas? Okay, you said food, music. We said food before, music. What else is culture in Europe? Very pragmatically.
Okay, I want to say, for example, I think that the culture is the manifestation of the different arts, or the costume, or the different particular, for example, people a nation have, or a specific group.
Yes, exactly. What else can be culture, in your opinion?
Well, culture, as you say, is complicated, but can be described as practices, traditions that people have passed on from generations, and then they become the cultural norm for certain groups of people.
That's right, yes. Adriana, would you like to say anything?
Yes, I think that it also relates to what routines, like what people are used to, and also to what people are not supposed to do in a country. Actually, in the course I was taking, I was reading a reading, and I was thinking probably there are many cultures as people in the world because the concept is so complex that you cannot just define it. So.
Right. Okay. So let's say that people have preferences and individual habits, which is very true. But also, you know, when we discuss this term culture, we refer to large groups. Like Raj said, you know, this is what people do. They agree that certain type of things should be done in a certain way. The language we speak is culture, right? The way we dress, the food, the celebrations, religions, etc. But I'll show you a little video. I love this theory. We will watch a little video which introduces the theory which was created by Edward T. Hall, and then we'll talk about it. Yeah, so let's watch it.
In his book, Beyond Culture, Edward T. Hall developed the iceberg analogy of culture. The cultural iceberg theory suggests that, like an iceberg, there are only some aspects of culture which are visible or which, in other words, lie above the surface of the water. These can include language, food, greetings, art, music, and many others. These are the explicit manifestations of culture. They are easy to see, taste, or hear. But according to Hall's theory, these are only the tip of the iceberg. The majority of culture, like an iceberg, lies beneath the surface. These aspects are not immediately visible. They can include worldview, religion, spiritual beliefs, decision-making models, power relationships, respect for authority, concepts of time, and many others. These are the implicit manifestations of culture. They can exert an important influence over behaviour, values, feelings, and thoughts. The more immersed we become in a cultural environment, the more these hidden aspects are revealed to us.
Your microphone, Gracia. We can hear you. Can you hear Gracia? No, right? I thought I was becoming deaf. Yeah, but
the volume, because a little maybe can use the voice.
The volume is very, very low.
I know, it'll come back. Just give it a second.
All right, Gracia.
I stream a video, there's this problem, I don't know why. My computer does this.
Okay.
I'm very sorry about this.
No, that's okay. Come on, Gracia.
Tell me all the time, but this is the computer the university gave me, and I have another piece of technology to use these days. Okay, so I was saying that the analogy, can you hear me? Just a little bit for now.
Yes,
okay,
perfect.
Okay.
Iceberg is fascinating, in my opinion, right? Because when we discuss culture, like you said, everybody, you know, thinks about the tip of the iceberg. But beneath the surface, there are so many other elements that that you really need to want to see to be able to appreciate them. Okay, and all of these aspects, like the speaker in the video underlined towards the end, influence our behaviors, values, feelings, and thoughts. Okay, I'll repeat this: behaviors, values, feelings, and thoughts. So it's a worldview, basically. So let me go back to the presentation, because I'm going to show you Okay, let's skip this. Okay, so I'm gonna try to use my headphones again. I mean my earpods. Let's see if it works. Tell me if it works.
But the sound is perfect, Gracia. Now we can hear you. We can't.
Yeah, you can't. I'll carry on like this. So
Yeah.
as you can see, the tip of the iceberg is this, right? We said it. Look at how many other elements we're missing, right? If we don't try really to understand what's beyond the surface, right? Rules of conduct, pride, concept of justice, notions of modesty, humor, gender roles, etc. So body language. Yeah, I'm not going to go over all of them, but as you can see, there's a real large amount of these beliefs and values beneath the surface. All right, okay, so when we teach English, you know, some people are still in doubt, really, when we talk about the intercultural dimension, right? Do we need the intercultural dimension in language teaching? Well, actually we do. The Common European Framework of Reference, which was created for any language, not just English, right? For teaching any language, includes these terms: intercultural awareness, intercultural skills, and existential competence. What does this mean? I mean, what do all of these words mean? According to the CEFR, we should be able to interact with people on equal terms, and we should be able to be aware of our own and others' identities. The intercultural speaker is actually someone who can communicate information, but who can also develop a human relationship, no matter the language you speak. It can be another language. It doesn't have to be English all the time. Okay. So, and one more thing, when and why do we use the intercultural dimension? Actually, we use it every day, even if, you know, we don't think about it, because we have social identities, right? We are workers, we are employers, we are teachers, and depending on who we interact with, we change our language, right? Students don't speak to the teacher in the same way they speak with their classmates, right? We know that, and we use language. So, well, we are English teachers, and we have this advantage now. I was having this conversation with Jaime before we began, that English is practically a lingua franca right now. So everybody in the world more or less speaks it. So we have this advantage. And if we are able to become the type of communicator that I was describing before, we can avoid stereotyping when we interact with people. Do you understand who this guy, where this guy is from? Where do you think he's from? Sorry?
No idea.
Really, look at him.
I think probably Italy, because of the sign with the hand.
Thank
Everybody
you.
thinks.
Thank you. That's an Italian stereotype that everybody knows. I'm sorry. Okay, so who is the best teacher, right? Because when we discuss English, right, we English teacher, and English is a lingua franca, etc. So who is the best person to teach the intercultural dimension, basically? So you don't have to be native to do this. Okay, the best teacher is the person who can help learners see the relationships between cultures and help them acquire interest and curiosity about otherness, and an awareness of themselves and their own cultures seen from other people's perspectives. So this is the function that we have. You know, we don't have to become British or American because we use the English language to teach English, but we have to develop this type of curiosity and awareness in our students. All right. So this is the theoretical basis for my practices today. Okay. Let me stop sharing just a question. Just a moment. Sorry. Any questions so far? Is it clear where we're standing?
Very clear, Gracia.
Had you heard anything like this before? So I know.
Heard, maybe heard, but not reflected that much as we are doing now.
Okay, so you'll see it in practice now. You'll see it through the practice. You'll understand even more what I'm talking about. Okay, so let me go back to the presentation. Sorry that every time I have to, oops, I have to get back here. Okay, so the first activity that I'm going to do today with you guys is about DNA, right? So as I promised in the title of this presentation, we'll discuss this concept today. How does DNA work? Teacher grammar. Okay, so because I have this problem. Let me stop sharing so I can see you again. I have this problem. I teach university students, and my students are scientists in the making. Okay, they study biology, biomedicine, nanotechnology, chemistry, geology, all of these beautiful scientific topics, degrees. And so, yeah, they tend to talk in a very complicated way about certain concepts, because look at this. If I tell them, how does DNA work? Wait a second, I should go back to sharing this. They will probably immediately, okay, I can't share, there we are. They will probably immediately, do something like this. And they will start talking about DNA versus RNA, and then they will start telling me all about all of this chemistry that you have to be very advanced to understand. So that's not the point of this practice. So I always ask them to, try to transform or translate difficult concepts into easy language that can be understood by everybody. Your grandma, think about your grandma. She's 80, she's never studied chemistry. She has no idea what biology looks like or sounds like or is like, and she lives. She has a life experience, okay? So in this case, when I used to teach face-to-face classes, I would give them mini whiteboards. I would put them in groups, and I would give them mini whiteboards with lots of colored markers, and I would tell them, try to, draw something, synthesize something, do something and try to explain it to me. I'm your grandma, okay? So after a while, at the beginning, it was very difficult for them because they couldn't find language to do this. But then eventually I told them, why do I look partly like my mom and partly like my dad? Why do I even look like my grandma sometimes, right? Etc. So they came up with ideas after a while. And the analogies that they use, do you know what DNA is, everybody? DNA, yeah, it's a code. It's a genetic code that we have in every cell of our body has it. But depending on what the body needs to do, they would use parts of this code, right? If I have to say to, the new body, yeah, the hair needs to be brown, right? So that cell will develop something that will turn into hair, brown hair, etc. So they come up with these ideas. No, it's like a library. There are many books. Depending on the information that you need, you can find the book you need. Or it's like, like the bricks that you have to build a house with, right? So sometimes you have to make a corner and you need something round. It cannot be square, etc., etc. So they came up with lots of beautiful ideas, right? But if you have less advanced students or students who do not necessarily study science, I'm going to share in the chat box. You have to give your students, of course, some language support. So before you begin any listening, I don't know why I cannot send it. I'm trying to send it through the chat box. The document is not going through. So let me try again. Sometimes it doesn't work. Okay, I'm going to show it to you. I'm sorry that I cannot share it.
Try one more time, because now you are the co-host.
Oh, you're co-hosting.
Yeah.
I'm co-hosting now. Okay.
So maybe that now you can do it.
It's not working. Let me try again. No, it's just a little worksheet that I created. No, it's not going through for some reason.
Later, you can send it to me, to my
Okay,
WhatsApp.
I can do it later. I'll show it to you. Let me show it to you on the screen. Okay, I'll just share it for a moment so you can see what I'm talking about. Right. Okay. I normally, whenever I do a listening activity, and it's good practice to give your students some language support. So depending on the level, as I said, if it's B1 or B2, I normally select a few words, not many, 7 or 8 is more than enough. So here, as you can see, I have a list of words that you will hear from the video. It can be done as a matching exercise as well. You can give the definitions already, but I like to make them look for their words in the dictionary. So in a face-to-face lesson, I would give this worksheet to a pair of students and they should work together. Of course, online, you can use the breakout rooms, which work pretty much in the same way. So I normally ask them to, just fill in the definitions and then we discuss them before they watch the video. And also in this case, because in this video, you will hear lots of the names of lots of countries and lots of nationalities. I can also do this practice with them. I tell them, names of countries or or nationalities, and they tell me the corresponding one. For example, if I say Bengali, what is the country where a Bengali person lives?
Bengal.
You know it? Bengali, does it ring a bell?
Bangladesh?
Bangladesh, it's Bangladesh. Okay. If I say another nationality, well done. Because these are not very common. We don't hear them very often, especially here in Latin America. Maybe in Europe, they're closer, right? Okay, if I say Iraqi,
Iraq,
okay. If I say Icelandic, where does a person? Iceland. Yes, exactly.
Like,
It's in the north.
one thing I can use this, but also I added a third column, and then they could use an image representative of this country or nationality.
Right, Edison, it's a good idea. Edison, it's a good idea, but be careful of stereotyping. Be careful, because when we use images which represent an entire country, we are stereotyping, because not all of the people in that country correspond to that image. You may use a flag, maybe. You may use a flag. A flag is
a flag or a product, for example, wine in Italy.
Yeah, I know, but that's
also for France.
I know, but it's very limiting. Believe me, France is not just wine. France is much more than wine. And so is Italy, so is Spain, so is Ecuador. So I tend not to use those elements unless you're talking about a specific region, a specific province. So you teach your students to be more specific, not to generalize, because when you generalize, let me give you this little piece of information. When I was living in Italy, and people ask me, where are you from? I would say Italian. I was very sure about what Italian was. Okay. And then I started living around the world, not just because you mix with people and you pick up their habits as well, but I learned that Italian doesn't correspond to me anymore, or never corresponded to me, or to the idea that people have in the world of who an Italian should be like, because I'm very different from your typical Italian, person. So be careful of stereotyping. Yeah, I'm very worried about stereotyping. Okay, right. So you have a little language preparation there. I have another. Now, before we listen to the first, watch the first video, this is the other worksheet that I created for my students. As you can see, there are a few questions here so that they can, focus on and listen for specific information. So why is the Englishman proud of his country, for example? Why doesn't the Bengali man get along well with India or Pakistan? What do the people have to do in order to conduct the experiment? Because you will hear about a DNA experiment. How do the people feel before and after finding out the DNA results? Why does the French woman believe the DNA test should be compulsory? And how do the English and the Cuban call themselves after the DNA test? All right, let me try again. Let me see if I can share these questions through the chat box. I don't know why. I don't think it's going through for some reason, my documents. I think one of your settings, Jaime, doesn't allow this.
Yeah, I don't know why. Maybe if you send it to my WhatsApp, then I can resend it through.
Right. I'll do it while we watch the video. Okay, so now
I'm going to show
you the video, otherwise it's going to be late. Okay, so yes, we talked about the grammar. We talked about how to avoid complicated language if you have students who tend to do that. Now, okay, so these are videos which were created by Momondo, which is actually a travel agency. It's an advertising campaign that they did, and it's about a DNA test, right? And they called it the DNA journey. So let's watch the first video together.
I'm proud to be English. My family have served and we've defended this country and we've been to war for this country.
I'm really patriotic about Bangladesh.
Well, I am 100% Icelandic, yeah, definitely.
This is a Kurdish wedding with my mom in the traditional Kurdish clothes.
We're just proud black, so that's it.
Yeah, I think we are probably the best country in the world, if I'm honest.
Think about other countries and other nationalities in the world. Are there any that you don't feel you get on with well or you won't like particularly?
Germany. Yeah, I'm not a fan of the Germans.
You might think they're a little bit...
Particularly India and Pakistan, probably, because of the whole, the conflict.
Because I have this side of me that's like, that hates Turkish people. Not people, but the government. But French?
No. We're just the best, it's just fact.
I'm more important than you. I don't know you, but in my opinion, I am strong and I am more important than a lot of people.
How would you feel about taking a journey based on your DNA?
Yeah, I feel very intrigued.
What could you possibly tell me that I don't know?
So do you know how DNA works? So you get half from mum and half from dad, so 50% from each of them, and they get 50% from their parents, and back and back and back. And all those little bits of your ancestor, they filter down to make you, you. I need you to spit in this tube for me. You spit up to the little black line.
That's a lot of spit.
Right, the story of you is in that tube. What's it gonna tell me?
It's gonna be, oh yeah, you're French, and wait, your grandparents are French, and wait.
100% Bengali.
Solid Iraqi. I'm Cuban.
You're gonna tell me that I'm English, like I've told you.
Jay, can you come down and join us?
I'm a little bit nervous, I have to say.
So you ready to find out your results? Will you read it out to us, please? Wow, look at me.
Oh my God. Oh, wow. Shit, I didn't expect that.
All of them.
Whoa! No.
Caucasus, which was Turkish?
Yeah.
Eastern Europe, Spain, Portugal, Italy, Greece.
I'm 32% British.
What?
Great Britain, 30%. Can we 5% German?
I'm Irish.
Yeah.
So I'm a Muslim Jew.
Great Britain, 11%. Are you sure these results are mine?
Eastern Europe?
Iceland has definitely moved closer to Europe now.
I'm gonna go a bit far right now, but this should be compulsory. There would be no such thing as extremism in the world if people knew their heritage like that. Who would be stupid enough to think of such thing as a pure race?
In a way, we're all kind of cousins, in a broad sense. In a much more direct sense, you have a cousin in this room. Turn around and guess who it is. Wash?
Yeah. What's that?
Why don't you come down here and meet your cousin?
God, this is the best. I didn't know I did. This is like, my heart's pounding right now, I swear to God. We met.
I'm Jay from everywhere, by the reason is.
I'm a real man of the world.
Wow, that's beautiful. Thank you.
So would you like to travel to all of these places?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely beautiful, Gracia.
And this is advertising. I found it by chance on YouTube.
My God.
Browsing for random stuff. I found this campaign, which was realized in Denmark. And so they selected 67 random people, right? Random people, and they took a DNA test. And these are just some of the results, because there are 2 more videos that I'm going to show you in a minute. So
please,
tell me what you noticed. Tell me what caught your attention.
The ideas people have in their minds, and that I'm this, but I'm not that. And then at the end of the result, I'm everyone. Exactly. Really, I was about to cry because it's so...
Well, I cry all the time. Don't tell me. I cry all the times I watch this. So.
because I have to recognize that sometimes we are very, sorry to say this word, but we are stupid.
Oh, yes, we are.
Yeah, thinking about, I'm not that, I'm this, and I come from this place. I guess
and
this
I'm
is
better. No, look at how racist certain people were. They were, I'm 100% Icelandic. I'm stronger than you are. I'm so much better than you are, right? I have all of this, you know. And then it turns out it's not 100% Icelandic, of course, because we're mixed.
Just 5%.
Yeah.
And you know, and creating such a separation that's not who I am. I don't like those people. And then find out that you're part of that same people.
Exactly. And also think about the conflicts. Think about the conflicts, because the Englishman, the first one who spoke, who said, you know, I served, my parents served this country. So the Germans, we hate the Germans, etc., because of the war, World War II. And they're still thinking in that way. They are the enemy. And the same thing for the Bengali person, from Bangladesh. They don't get along with Iraqi people and with Indian people, Pakistani, etc., because of the conflicts. So this is what separates people. What the messages that you read at the beginning, what some of you were not here, just corresponded to this, okay? So I make my students analyze all of this, so collect the data. So what are they saying at the beginning? What are they saying at the end? What has changed?
Yeah,
right?
Roxy wants to say something.
Yes, please. Good morning. Sorry. Can you hear?
Yes, perfect.
Yes. Something else that caught my attention in this video, Gracia, was about the change of the attitude. No, says no. I don't like the people in that country. Then when they got, I had 3% or 4% of that country. So I am open to go and to visit and to be in relation with the people of those countries, because I am part of that.
Yes, exactly. Definitely. Yeah, well, there is this Carlos. Yeah, let me show you, because otherwise, we ran out of time, and I'd like to give you a couple more of ideas. Yeah. So if you go back to the, well, you don't have it. I'm very sorry. I also created a couple of questions for the video about Carlos. Because, you know, he's a very special person. You'll see it in a moment. Because some of these people here, and then we'll talk about Ellaha, some of these people here also have a personal video, basically, because their stories were so interesting that they separated the case of the person and they showed it to people again. So let me show you the case of Carlos, and then we'll talk about it. So I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint presentation, and I'm going to share the second video, which is this one here featuring Carlos.
Hi. 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 So Carlos, tell me a little bit about you and your heritage.
My family background, I would say it's entirely Cuban.
What sort of percentage do you think?
100%?
Oh, 100%. Okay, so 100% Cuban. There's a little bit of rivalry to your nearest neighbors, do you think?
There is, I think. I think Cubans don't like to be confused with the Dominicans, and not either way, like Dominicans with Cubans. I don't know why, but there is a rivalry there. My grandmother has 12 sisters and brothers, and I have 7 uncles.
So the whole family, all born in Cuba, all generations back as far as you can remember?
Yeah, I know there is something with my grandmother.
Maybe Dominican.
I hope not. A DNA test, I would love to do that, yeah.
And what that does is then we can step that back up to 2,000 years ago.
2,000 years.
And tell you where your ancestors come from.
What would you not want to find, do you think?
Dominicans? Or Argentinians? Or French?
Carlos, it's time, my friend.
Hello again.
Hello, Carlos.
Hello.
I'm a little bit nervous, I have to say.
Why?
I don't know.
Whatever's in there, you'll still be Carlos, right?
Yeah, sure. It's not, well, yeah.
Read it out to us, Carlos.
Okay. Whoa! Whoa! No! 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 Wow! That is crazy. Spain, Portugal, 22%. See, Spain. Yeah. Native American, 17%.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Southeastern Africa, 16%. Africa in my heart. Italy, Greece, 12%. Nigeria, 8%. Great Britain. Come on, 8%. Senegal, 3%. Ivoire Coast, Ghana, 3%. Benin, Togo, what's that?
Africa.
Africa, yeah?
More Africa.
More Africa. Bring it on. 2%. Mali, 2%. Oh, no, this is a joke. Eastern Europe, seriously? Middle East, 2%. Cameroon, Congo, 1%. Scandinavia! Oh my God, 1% Scandinavia. And Melanesia, 1%. What is Melanesia?
This maps out the entire world because that's where you're from. This spot here, Melanesia, the very last thing that you've got. That's what you would show up as if you were an Indigenous Australian, if you were an Aboriginal.
I have Australian. This is really unbelievable.
Well, you're one of the most ethnically diverse people I have ever seen. If aliens landed on the planet and we had to send them a representative of the world, it would be you because you're from everywhere.
I'm a real man of the world. I am.
Enjoy your trip.
Safe travels, man.
Okay, tell me about Carlos.
when I watched it the first time, I said, no, I couldn't believe it. No, this guy, okay, first of all, you know, he is the image, I mean, the representation of the history of slavery. So you can teach racism and slavery through him, really. Yeah, because Cuba was the port of entry, right? So these people were enslaved in Africa. They were not slaves. They were free people. They were enslaved in Africa. They were brought to Latin America and North America through Cuba. Cuba was the first port where they arrived. Okay, of course, Cuba was also inhabited by native people. And so there was this contact, this you know, with natives there. But think about the traders, the human traffickers, they were from Europe. And as you know, they used to rape these women very much, right? So there with rape, you know, we had the first biracial people of Latin America, basically. Well, I have a friend who's from Otavalo. He's a Quichua Otavalo, proud Quichua Otavalo. He always tell me, you know, I discussed these theories with him many times. And I said, well, you're not a pure Quichua Otavalo anymore because, you know, we've been mixing so much, you know, everybody's mixed. Come on. Yeah. Even if I'm very white, I mean, you know, I know I'm mixed sometime in my past. 2000 years ago, there was some mixing, right? And he used to joke and tell me, you know, my grandma used to run very fast. Nobody caught her. So she was never raped, but many others were, right? So you can start you know, a discussion also on racism. So, and you know, the history of slavery, basically, because Carlos is from everywhere for a reason. Because, you know, he was, you know, and also, you know, I don't know if you know it, but I did a little bit of research here in Ecuador. So the Afro-Ecuador, but that was the praxis, basically. So when these people were taken from Africa, they were separated, right? Because if they spent time together in the same working on the same hacienda, for example, etc., they could speak the same language and they could try to escape, basically, and organize, you know, the others maybe, etc. So they were all mixed. So people who came from South Africa were mixed with people who came from North Africa and vice versa, etc., so that they could not speak the same language. That's why the Afro-Ecuadorian people here in Ecuador do not speak a language. They do not have a language anymore. They speak Spanish because they forgot their original languages. They don't have Quichua, they don't have Shuar, Shuar, Awa, Wapit, etc. Because even if now they are recognized as an ancestral people, because, you know, with the Constitution of 2008, they were included. They were recognized because they've been here for 600 years and they've been, you know, part of the country. So they now have a status as a people. But they don't have a language because they lost it. So that's why Carlos comes from everywhere in Africa, because all of these people were mixed, right, and brought here. So you have lots of material to cover on Carlos if you wish, okay? And then there is another case that I'd like to bring to your attention before we finish. And I mean, maybe we can discuss even more. Okay, so there is, let me go back to the PowerPoint. So I need to give you a little bit of information about her because I know that you don't maybe know much. Maybe. Okay, on this side of the world. So this area that you see now on the map is what we call the Middle East. Okay, so here you can see the north of Africa, okay, Algeria, Libya, Egypt, this is the Tunisia, Morocco, etc. This is the north of Africa, the Mediterranean Sea, and on the right-hand side of this map, you can see what we call the Middle East, okay? Beginning with Turkey, from Turkey, Armenia, Syria, Jordan, then we have Saudi Arabia, Iran, Afghanistan, okay? Iraq is in the middle. Right, so the girl, Ellaha, she is Kurdish, okay? And she'll tell you in the video. So the Kurdish people, see here in the middle of the map, you have this Kurdish inhabited area, okay? And as you can see, it's an area, it's not a nation, it's not a state. It doesn't have boundaries, limits, right? let me tell you that the Kurds, before World War I, which took place in Europe between 1914 and 1918, they used to have a nation. They are a nation, but they used to have a territory, and they used to have a place where to live of their own. But then, yes, since the war created national boundaries, okay, now they live across all of these countries, okay. And you can see part in Turkey, part in Syria, part in Iran, Iraq, and Iran. Okay, originally they were nomadic. Their livelihood depended on sheep and goat herding. As I said, after the World War I, they lost their own territory, and they also lost their habit of being nomads. Basically, they had to settle down in one of these countries, and their destiny became very, very sad, because basically they were rejected everywhere they went. A little bit like what happened to the Jewish. Remember, the Jewish didn't have a nation, so they were forced to, and they had been persecuted very much by the Turkish in particular. And the reason why Ellaha is in Denmark is because she is a refugee, right? She was an asylum seeker, and she became a refugee in Denmark. A little bit what happens here in Ecuador right now. Well, we used to have the conflict in Colombia, which is not so violent anymore, but still lots of people came from Colombia to Ecuador. And now we have the case of Venezuela, right? All the Venezuelan people leaving Venezuela because of poverty and looking for new opportunities. So we have migrations in this area, very, very big migrations. Okay, so let me show the video, and then I'll tell you why I think the story of Ellaha can be used to develop the type of awareness I was describing before. So yeah, we have grandma here. We talked about her, sorry. Let me go back to, all right. So here, this is the story of Ellaha.
Hello. 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 It's Ellaha, is it?
That's correct.
Okay. I'm originally from Kurdistan in Iran, but I'm a political refugee, and I came to Denmark with my siblings and my parents when I was 6 years old. This is a Kurdish wedding with my mom in the traditional Kurdish clothes, and the same goes to my father. So how much of your family background do you think is Kurdish?
I hate that question. I know that we've been, the Kurdish people are people who've been, we don't have a country anymore. And we haven't had it for a long time. And when you're a people like me, you don't even know exactly what your grandparents are, if you look at the blood. But we are confident enough to say that we are people on our own, even though what we've been through,
So your family has been through a lot as Kurds?
Yeah.
And you know about that? Think about other countries and other nationalities in the world. Are there any that you don't feel you get on with well, or you won't like particularly?
I have this side of me that's like, hey, we are all humans, and boom, boom, boom. And this side of me that hates Turkish people. Not people, but the government.
How would you feel about going on a journey based on your own DNA?
Yeah, that would be exciting. And scary in a good way.
I need you to spit in this tube for me. You spit up to the little black line.
Sorry.
Right, the story of you is in that tube. What are you hoping to find?
This sounds so like a big cliche, but maybe like that we are all equal, that there's not a big difference between you and me. And
Ellaha, you want to come down?
yeah. Hello.
Hello. Welcome back.
Thank you.
So how's the last couple of weeks been for you?
Now I've been thinking, what the heck is Kurdish and how do I tell people that I am Kurdish? So I'm maybe in a bit of conflict somehow.
So what would be the biggest surprise for you in these results?
It doesn't matter what that bit of paper says, you're still Ellaha, right? You're still you. Maybe it will tell you just a little bit more about you. Do you want to have a look?
Yeah.
You ready?
I am. Wow, look at me. What? Okay, 79% from Iran and Caucasus, which was Turkish.
Yeah.
Jewish, European Jewish. That's funny. Yeah, I knew that it wouldn't say that you're Kurdish. And that's what makes me a bit sad too, in a way, because I can't tell people that I'm Kurdish.
What? Why? This is one part of who you are. We're made of many parts. You're still Ellaha. You're still Kurdish.
But now a bit Jewish.
You can be both. But those places you don't like,
yeah,
they're full of people like you.
I know, and that it's because, like me, you mean like?
Well, they're full of people that are the same ethnic mix that you are.
Now it gets political, but it's the government I don't like, so it's not.
The politics is not the people.
No, exactly.
In a way, we're all kind of cousins, in a broad sense. In a much more direct sense, you have a cousin in this room.
Okay, so you've seen when she meets the cousin, so I'm not going to repeat that. But the case of Ellaha is incredible, in my opinion, and extraordinary, and very similar to what happens in Latin America. So do you remember that at the beginning of the presentation, I said that you have to make your students aware of the differences, but also of the commonalities. You have to make them know that their history is also shared by some other people on the other side of the planet, maybe for different reasons, but they're living, there are people on another side of the planet who are living very similar situations. When I came to Ecuador, I did a little bit of research, and I don't know if you're familiar with the situation here, but the indigenous movement in the 90s, picked up a lot of strength, and through their marches and manifestations and protests, etc., they were able to get, political attention. So thanks to this movement, in 2008, a new constitution was written, and the constitution included finally the rights, the cultural rights of peoples and nations, pueblos y nacionalidades, all right? Okay, but if you read the Constitution is a very beautiful document everywhere, right? There are principles, everybody, yes, inspired, right? The Ecuadorian Constitution even includes the rights of nature. Nature is treated like a person by the Constitution because of the indigenous influence, because the indigenous people believe in the Pachamama. Pachamama is the Mother Earth. And we have to respect her as a person. She is part of this, you know, life cycle we all belong to. And without mother, we don't live. So that's the idea this chapter in the Constitution is based on. But going back to pueblos y nacionalidades, if you read it, okay, in theory, they have lots of rights, cultural rights. They could even, you know, decide how to exploit somehow their territorial, you know, their ancestral territories, but in practice they have no power whatsoever. Okay, not even the language sometimes they can learn at school. The bilingual education system is very complicated and really doesn't teach any Quechua. I live in the Quechua area. There are other areas where other languages are spoken. So, and there is a pueblo that I got to know, El Pueblo Awa, the people of Awa, they are a nation. They are a binational nation because they were cut into by the boundary between Ecuador and Colombia. So this is very similar to what happened to the Kurdish. So that's why I'm bringing the case to the table, because I want, you know, you can give your students some information, you can ask them to do research, you can ask them to write an essay, you can ask them to have a debate on cultural rights, you can do so many things, right? Depending on where you live and the reality that surrounds you. I know that Peru somehow is similar to Ecuador because of the indigenous presence. Maybe Canada is also experiencing recently also debates about how the natives were treated by the invaders, the colonizers, the invaders, and you can find analogies, right? Because as I said, the Awa people are people who do not have a nation anymore. I mean, a territory. And their territory is divided in two, so they have to deal with two different governments and they live 10 meters from each other. There's a river in between. There's a river in between, but the amount of attention and support and access to the public life, etc., changes very much because they belong to different countries. And every other people and nation, as I said, they have in theory an ancestral territory, but in practice, they can do nothing with it. So she is very much in doubt. Who am I? Am I Kurdish? Because the Kurdish have a language. The Kurdish even have a religion, which is different from every other religion that we know, the main religions that we know, right? Christianism, Islamism, Buddhism, etc., right? They have their own religion. Yeah, but she says, who am I anymore, right? Because everybody says that in order to be someone, you have to live in a state and you have to have a passport and you have to have a cédula, an ID from that place. I remember watching a documentary, one of the last contacted people living in the Amazon area, this gentleman, you know, he became 70 and he didn't know he was Ecuadorian. Someone, you know, went to see him, gave him a cédula and told him you're Ecuadorian. And he was like, what? What am I? So I was something else, you know, before you came and gave me a cédula, right? So that's what happens to these people. So you can make your students very much think about these analogies, find them, analyze them, and understand also the politics of the place where they live. I found out, I don't know what happens in your countries, but I found out that I know much more about the Ecuadorian constitution than my Ecuadorian students, because I read it. I took the time to read it. So that's a problem. If you don't know you have rights, how can you demand that your rights will be upheld somehow? So we were talking about human rights at the beginning of the lesson, and we just want to know each other. It's not that I want to create a revolution in this country, but I want people to be aware of where they are and where they stand, and if they agree or disagree. And also I want them to be aware that there are other people around the world like you, right? Having the same difficulties, the same problems, the same struggles in life, etc., with whom you could have a conversation in English, because they don't speak Spanish maybe, and you don't speak Kurd or the Kurdish language. So you can do that even through English, right? Which is this, you know, language which colonized the half, you know, which was used by the colonizer who colonized half of the world, but it allows us to communicate on that level. And then, so let me show you. So eventually at the end of this, of course, at the end of these activities, this is a little bit of information that I put on the worksheet that I was showing you. There's always, you know, the video about Ellaha, right? A couple of questions about her, and then you have discussion questions. I always end these lessons with this type of questions. So how do you feel about taking a journey based on your DNA? Should such DNA tests be compulsory? Why or why not? An open world begins with an open mind. What does it mean? Do you agree? Why and why not? Okay, as I said, depending on the type of students you have, the age group and the type of school they are attending, then you can, adapt the activity a little bit to their needs. But it is important that they start thinking about the world in different ways. Sorry, it's not just pasta, mandolino, vino, right? It's also politics. Yeah, we live like this today. We move from a country to here now we have this huge problem, which wouldn't be a problem if people were open-minded, but we have all of these Venezuelans coming to Ecuador now, and we have a huge surge of xenophobia because people say they come to steal our jobs. That's always the excuse, right? Every time people move, and if you read the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, everybody has the right to migrate. Because the planet is one. So we created the boundaries, but the planet is one. So we should be able to live wherever we want. And now these people are suffering a lot because they're not accepted. Of course, Ecuador has its own economic crisis. We know that. We have lots of problems. Bad administrators then create problems for everybody, not just for the immigrants, but for the residents as well. We know that everywhere in the world. So that's not new. But here now we have this huge problem. And my students hate Venezuelans already, some of them, not all of them. So I'm like, what? You haven't even started living. How can you hate somebody else? And you don't know where they come from and what they lived. I don't know. I had this experience. I didn't live the war in the time of the war in Europe, right? World War II, right? I wasn't alive. My parents were teenagers when this happened, right? But I grew up listening to the stories. My grandmother, I'm still emotional about it. My mother, my grandparents told me, same thing that happened to Ellaha, right? She heard it from her grandparents that the Turkish didn't want them for some reason, right? And I created inside my heart this space for everybody else, because when you grew up listening to these stories, you cannot not develop this type of sensitivity and awareness towards these issues, because people were starving, people were dying, they didn't have anything to eat in those days. The Italians went everywhere in the world, and went to the US and to Germany, etc. But we helped build those countries. We pay taxes. I pay taxes here where I live. So you have to teach your students from a very early age that when we move to another country and we work regularly, we are contributing to the development of the country, and vice versa. We are also enjoying, what the country has to offer. But we are there as person. We are, like you said, Raj, at the beginning, diversity is not a problem, it's a blessing. We have something different to bring, right? Yes. So really, we should be able to teach our students that there are, and I use videos in my classes, especially when I teach this type of topics, because the emotional intelligence is what we need to count on. Our students are very smart students. They're very bright students. I know they can do amazing stuff, mathematics, chemistry, etc., but then they have a heart as well, and they have to connect that heart to that brain in order to be citizens of the world. Because otherwise some piece is missing. I had a guy some time ago who told me, teacher, but I don't care about all of those things. I'm going to be an engineer, right? And I was like, yeah, but you're a citizen first. You are a citizen first, and then you become an engineer. So you should know where you live, what happens where you live. and what you can do with the knowledge you have. It's not just that you build, beautiful things, but you build beautiful things for people. Do they need those beautiful things? Would they like something different? Have you talked to them? So there are a number of issues, right? Decision-making together, et cetera, et cetera. So you can stretch it, you can take it to the level you wish. I mean, if you're brave, you can take it to the political level. If you feel brave enough, if your students allow for it, or you can start building, this awareness little by little, just giving them little hints. Like when you see this thing of the DNA, I mean, it's impossible not to think I'm like everybody else, I'm no different. So that's the basic knowledge you need to build up everything else, right? So I took my DNA test when I found out about these things. I was, I got all excited. I went to Italy for Christmas and I went to my mom and we took it together because my father passed away many years ago, so I couldn't take it with my father, but we did it together, my mom and I. So we cover the entire area. So for the Roman Empire, I'm afraid, my ancestors, the Romans, colonized most of Europe. So we had, my mom especially, she had Northern, Western Europe, Spain, Northern Africa, Greece, and on my father's side, I got the Balkans until Turkey, etc. So I'm a mixture of all of this, plus a very solid block, Italian block in the middle. But we have genes from all over Europe. So we said, yeah, we're European. We're not Italian, we're European. We've lived there forever. So, we mix with all the people around the Mediterranean Sea. So, and I'm sure that if some of my students here took their DNA test, they would turn out to be natives for a very big percentage. Even if they look whiter, they would turn out to be natives or Afro-Ecuadorians as well, in small percentages, of course, because when the color is lighter, there's a reason, but still, there have been so much mixing, especially here in Latin America, from all over the world. Look at Carlos. So it's really impossible to say that there is a pure race. A pure race, what? Sorry. Sorry. Yeah, I talked very much. So it's up to you. If you have questions now, we still have a few minutes, I guess.
Number one, thank you, Gracia. This has been one of the most, I don't have the adjectives, but thank you so much for such a wonderful, beautiful, profound, moving presentation, because while listening to you, watching the videos and looking at everyone else's faces, I was thinking about all the bad experiences we maybe have lived in our lives. I was in London once and I saw these white British people saying bad words to a black policeman and telling him, go back to your country. My grandfather was born here. And then in the USA, the same thing. And when I was in Spain, some little girl said something to me. And then I was thinking about how stupid we are stupid because we are not that intelligent to understand that, first of all, we are human beings, no matter where we come from, no matter what university certificate we have, no matter what our last name is. But you live in Ecuador and you know that Peru and Bolivia, these three countries have the same problems talking about racism and xenophobia and everything else. Personally, I suffered that before. Not anymore. Thank you so much. It's because I travel and I have met people like you, and then I understood that I'm the same like everyone else, and I have to respect myself to respect others. And I love what you said, right? Citizens of the world, and that's what we are, citizens of the world. There are no boundaries. The passports and everything else is just things created by politicians and countries. So thank you so much, Gracia. I don't want to take over all the time because I know other people want to talk. We still have 12 more minutes. Anybody else to express his or her opinion? 12 more minutes.
I was thinking about our concept we were studying in one of my the courses I'm taking at the university. Can you listen to me?
Yes, please. Can you stay close to the microphone because otherwise I can't hear you.
That I was thinking about this concept of nation as a myth that we are studying in one of the courses I'm taking right now, and I think it's totally true that nation is a myth actually because we don't belong to just one place.
Yes.
And we also watched a video about a woman who was saying that we should ask people, where are you a local at and not what are you from, because maybe you don't think that you belong to that country where you were born, and probably you're a refugee or something like that, and you went to another place and you feel that you belong more to that place than to the place you were born at. So thank you so much. It was really, really interesting, all the presentation and the video and the videos.
Thank you, Adriana. Thank you for your contribution. What you said is very, very interesting as well. I agree. Yes.
And I'm sure, Gracia, you will be back next semester for sure. We need to listen to you again. Anyone else, please? Roxy, Edison, Raj, Gloria, Micaela, Maria Elba in Bolivia, Jose Lobo in Colombia.
Okay. Yeah, one thing I would like to say is that at some point, all of us have suffered from discrimination.
Yeah.
And then it is because you are a foreigner.
Yes.
It's because if you are Italian, you are discriminated against in Europe. If you are Spanish, you are discriminated against in another country. If you are Ecuadorian, you're discriminated in the US. But if you are from one specific city in Ecuador, you are discriminated against by people from another city.
Yes.
And even with your colleagues. I am very short and I am dark. So things like that, it happens all the time.
Yeah, I know.
That is the problem. The biggest problem is that we need to be, we need to have some literacy on tolerance. We need to include that. Okay, it's not only you need to learn how to use a computer, a digital device or a device, any electronic device, sorry, but how you need to be literate in religions, in races, in DNA testing, and many other things. So then when you understand those things, the differences of religions and everything, then you can develop tolerance. Otherwise, I get to be, I think I was a religious person, but then I say, but I am not a total Catholic, but I am not this all either. So, and then you begin questioning yourself, because I am Ecuadorian, but maybe my dad was, somebody was the product, or somebody was the product of, let's just say the great-grandmother was raped. So how my last name is Santa Cruz, that is a Spanish name.
Holy Cross.
Yes. And then you see, but I have other like people in my descendants, and then they say they are Quispe, they Tuaquisas, and then they are ethnic names, last names.
Mm-hmm.
And then you say, okay, I am just a part of it, but not all of it.
Yeah. No, what I said at the beginning of the presentation is exactly what you're saying. So first of all, you have to become aware of who you are, because you think you are, and then you find out more about yourself. So yeah, these exercises, goes towards these two directions, right? The difference outside, but also, you have to reflect on who you are and where you live and what you do, etc. So racist is not a term that is used anymore because there is one human race only. So don't use racist, please use ethnicity. Ethnicity is more correct, because culture makes your ethnicity, right? If you speak a language, if you live in a place, if you share certain information with other people, a certain point of view, etc., that is cultural, ethnicity, ethnical, right? It's not race anymore. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? We still have 7 more minutes. Raj, Roxy, Gloria, Maria Elba, Ana Maria, Francisco, Tania.
I want to say something. My dear Gracia, I think that in the people around the world doesn't have the empathy. For example, they can confuse the empathy with the sympathy. According to this, the people say, oh, no, only I am feeling with a different special feeling, but it's different according to the country, the nationality, another person. But we have maybe to motivate this care, especially, for example, when the emotions can appear and the people is necessary that can have a flag or a special idiom or language or a coin, because definitely we are in the world and in all nationalities, and we need only to learn to live with others. That is for me my opinion about your presentation.
Look, Gloria, we can do it. I mean, as teachers, you know that we influence our students very much.
We try it, but in some occasions it's very difficult.
Even if you would, so your attitude, the way you speak about the others, the way that you respect and accept differences will automatically be transmitted to your students. So you don't change people's minds in one day. Yeah, this process is a process that will take time. But if we are aware as teachers before we start teaching, if we are aware of this project, let's say, so, and if you keep it in the back of your mind, and every time you teach, you control the way you speak about the world. Yes, because sometimes we use racist terms. Sometimes we use, discriminating terms. Sometimes without even thinking, we are doing this, right? So the language is powerful. We have to learn to speak about these topics in a different way. And then your students automatically will accept it as normal, right? The change will come, right? But we have to be the first ones to change this type of attitude in class. Sorry, Michaela, did you want to say something? Michaela, I saw that.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, I want to thank you very much because I learned a lot with all your presentation. It was very, very powerful, I will say. And you are right, there is not a pure race. That's the most important thing in the world. Thank you.
That's right. Thank you very much, Michaela.
Just what Michaela said reminds me of this course in New York University, a scholarship I had. We were given 75 speeches on different topics, and one of them was real Americans. Okay, and they took us to a reserva where the Indians lived in the United States.
Reservation, yes.
Yeah, indigenous reservation. And I said, what? They are locked in a place where that small space belongs to them. And I said, but they were the real, and they are the real 100%
First Nation.
Yeah, yeah. And I say, why they don't, like Mr. Trump, they don't or they didn't accept people from other countries? Who is the real Peruvian, the real North American? No one, according to your explanation. And once more, thank you so much. It's been a real profound and moving topic. Raj in Canada, please.
Well, Gracia, I love your passion and your clarity and the content that you offered today. It's phenomenal. I think we are a human race, not just, white race or black race. And how do we help our students and future generations to learn about what this means? Othering is a big thing. Other. I am not you. You are not me. I think we need to stop that othering and start to seeing each other as who we are as human beings. Beautiful presentation, lots of content. I'll go back and review your recording.
Thank you very much, Raj. If you need any information on at the end, let me show you the end of the presentation. Sorry, so you can see my on screen. You can see my email address so this just quickly. Sorry, otherwise, yeah. Culture is a shared way of life, explicit, implicit aspects, intercultural dimension when interacting with within the same culture and language or with another language or culture. Intercultural speaker is the person who can develop human relationships, and also the best teacher is basically all of us, if we are interested in this. And this is my email address. So you can see it and maybe use it in the future if you wish. And
we will.
Yeah, these are my references, some of the references that I used. So yes, please do it. And I can send you the worksheets. You can create your own. And the videos are very easy to find. They're on YouTube. If you search Momondo, I'm gonna write it in the chat box so you can see it. Momondo.
It sounds Italian, is it?
No, it's not. It's from Denmark, actually. I don't know.
It sounds to me. It sounds Italian.
Yeah, it does. Yes, but it's yeah. So if you search for it on YouTube, you will see there's a series of videos.
Okay.
I showed you the 3 more significant ones, in my opinion, but there are more if you're interested, and you can watch them.
Yeah, we will definitely, Gracia. Well, one more time, we are nearly to finish. Dear Gracia, thank you so much. I met you over there in Ibarra. I remember when I was visiting you, and now I will say the same as Raj said. Your passion. Now I understand why you are so passionate about this, and the great job you are doing with your students. I'm sure they love you, and they love what you do. And now I also do it, and I admire your work, and thank God we are very close. So as soon as the pandemic is over,
oh yes, I'm looking forward to visiting you in Peru.
yeah, you will come to Peru, and I'll go to Ecuador. Mi casa es tu casa, Gracia. Whenever it's a small, very little, but
I think Roxana had a question.
Roxana, please.
Yeah, no, just as everybody here, Gracia, thank you very much. I love the quote you mentioned, is diversity is a blessing. And I think that DNA has to put us together to let us know who we are and to understand that we are part of the world. We are not the world, we are part of it.
Yeah.
So I appreciate very much and understand that if in families we have the same DNA and we are different, the siblings, how impossible to be if community or countries, we are different as well, but we have something in common, that we are humans.
Yeah.
We have
now it's time. Thank you, Roxy. Now it's time for you, Gracia, for
Thank
your
you very much, everybody.
for
Thank
your
you very much.
final words. For your final words.
I hope to see you. Thank you very much. I hope to see you soon, guys. Bye.
Yes, for sure. We will invite you, dear Gracia. Thank you so much. How do you say thank you so much in Italian?
Grazie mille, grazie mille.
Grazie mille.
Thank you very
Well,
much. Take a lot of care.
Yeah, see you in a month. Goodbye, everyone. Raj, Gloria,
Goodbye.
Roxy, Adriana.
Gracias. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Maria Elsa, Ana Maria, Francisco, Antania Cajamarca. Goodbye,
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Take care.
Goodbye. Take care.